common question I get asked is, what do I paint my nest boxes with? What sort of paint? Now, it varies. If you're making a nest box out of natural wood, like you've sourced some wood from a sawmill and it's natural wood, then on the outside of the box you could use a wood preservative or some sort of oil, which will obviously make the box last a lot longer. But I use, most of my nest boxes are made out of ply, and there's no point in using any sort of wood preserver or oil, like Danish oil or something like that, because all you're doing with ply, you're just penetrating the first thin layer of ply, and then that comes up against a glue barrier, and that's all. And it does delaminate because the oil sort of pushes it off the glue, the thin layer of wood off the glue. So I've looked at all paints. I mean, if you glossed, you'd have to have an undercoat, then gloss on top, which would be quite expensive. So the cheapest alternative that I found is masonry paint, and I've got to say masonry paint is great. If you get a good quality masonry paint, this one is Leyland Trade True Guard. It's a brilliant paint. Or you could use Santex, that's another good masonry paint. And I put maybe 2 or 3 coats on, and this is how I do it. So I've already put 1 or 2 coats on. I've added the roof. I don't normally add the roof. I normally put 2 or 3 coats on first, then I add the roof. But then I just use a roller. Doesn't take long using a roller, it's quite quick. A nice even layer on the nest box. It gives it a good finish rather than a paintbrush, I find. That's my personal opinion. I mean, you might find the paintbrush is easier, but with a roller it is so quick, and you can just roll it on nice and even, give it a nice finish. So I'm making sure that all the nest box is covered. There's no exposed ply. And where sometimes you come across the edges of the ply, you come across delaminated pieces. So what I normally do with that, I get some glue and some sawdust mixed up and plug those holes to get rid of, so rain can't penetrate. So then I leave these out to dry. Now, with regards to natural wood, if you can get hold of cedar, even better. I mean, cedar doesn't rot, and it's totally waterproof as well. So I mean, you know, that would be great. But it's not cheap cedar. It's quite expensive. Well, in fact, all wood is expensive now, and ply. All building materials have shot up in prices. So you know, be prepared to pay for it. Now, I try not to buy any ply if I can help it. The only time I buy ply is if I'm doing school projects, and obviously I charge the school then. But my own projects, like these nest boxes, I'm relying on donations or offcuts from building companies or people who were fortunate enough to purchase some ply for me, and that's how I rely, and that's how my project runs really. I mean, if I had to, I mean, I do have to fund some, like nails, felt nails, staples. In fact, I've got to go to Screwfix to get some staples for my stapler, and that's money that I have to spend out of my own pocket, much to my wife's disgust. But I enjoy doing what I do, and you know, it's worth every penny for me. But if you start up a project like this, you need to approach building suppliers and that type of, or even builders, and ask for offcuts. I'll give you an idea. I had a gentleman from Abergavenny contact me, come across my website, and said, I'm refurbishing this house, and we've taken up a lot of OS board. Now, OS board is not the best material to use on nest boxes, but it's good for internal barn boxes, or even the bottoms and the roofs of nest boxes. I mean, the roofs are going to be covered in felt, so that's not going to affect the OS board, and the bottoms are not going to get touched either. I mean, put a couple of coats of masonry paint on that and that will suffice. And I drove back and forth Abergavenny about 5 times, bringing because all I had is my 4x4 to bring the materials home. I had to take with me my plunge saw to cut the OS boards down into sizes where I could get into my 4x4. It was time consuming, but it was worth it. And then I had a load of OS board to use then, and I've made quite a lot of barrel boxes out of that. Okay, so I hope that explains why I paint my nest boxes with masonry paint. If you had marine ply like this, then there's no need to paint it really, because marine ply is the most expensive ply. It's ply that doesn't tend to laminate as quick as the other external grade ply you can get, but you know, you are paying for it. That's the only trouble. Marine ply is just not cheap, and not everybody supplies masonry. Marine ply now. It's not many people use it, but if you can get hold of it, that is the material to use. Marine ply, it's really good. Now I'm painting the back of this nest box. Don't need to really, because I'll be putting some ply on the back, but I just paint it anyway. That's another extra barrier, stop the rain from penetrating. Now the reason why I put felt on the back of my nest boxes, a lot of my nest box sites, the trees are what are they? God, I'm trying to think. Oh God, I can't think of the trees now. So I got oak, mainly oak, but one of the other trees that is quite apparent on my nest box site. Oh, sorry, for the life of me, I can't think what it is. Anyway, long story short, the bark is quite smooth, and the rain just runs down the side of the tree and soaks into the nest box if you're not careful. So by putting a thin layer of felt on the back of it, that prevents it from degrading and getting wet.